On July 8th, 2014, a surveillance camera at Varna airport in Bulgaria recorded something that no one has ever been able to explain. A young man sprinting through the terminal, past shocked travelers, bursting through an emergency exit, and vanishing into the sunlight. His name was Lars Mittank. He was 28 years old, and no one has seen him since. There's no ending here, just those final seconds of footage and a decade of questions that haven't gotten simpler with time. What happened to Lars in the days before he ran didn't just puzzle investigators. It genuinely scared the people who knew him. Let's go back to where it started. June 30th, 2014. Lars Mittank and 5 friends board a flight from Germany. They're heading to Golden Sands, a popular beach resort on Bulgaria's Black Sea coast. It's supposed to be a simple vacation. Sun, drinks, relaxation. Lars is excited. He works at a power plant back in Germany, and his friends describe him as easygoing and friendly. He's athletic, healthy, looking forward to a week away from work. Just a regular guy taking a normal summer trip. The first few days go exactly as planned. Beach time, nights out, good company. Lars seems happy, relaxed even. Then, during one of the last nights of the trip, everything changes. Lars and his friends go to a fast food restaurant near their hotel. It's late, they're grabbing food after a night out. While they're there, Lars gets into an argument with a group of men. The details here get murky. Some reports say it was about football. Lars was a devoted Werder Bremen fan, and the story goes that it started over team rivalry. Others describe it as more random, just the kind of tension that builds between strangers in a crowded place late at night. Either way, things go bad quickly. A fight breaks out. Lars is hit in the head. His friends pull him away and get him back to the hotel, and that's when they see his ear is bleeding. The pain is bad enough that the next morning, they take him to a local medical clinic. The doctor examines him, and the news isn't good. Lars has a ruptured eardrum. Painful, yes, but more than that, he can't fly. The pressure changes during a flight could cause serious complications, maybe permanent damage to his hearing. The doctor tells him he needs to wait at least a week before he can safely board a plane. Now, there's a problem. Lars and his friends are supposed to fly back to Germany on July 7th. That's the next day. His friends have jobs waiting, responsibilities. They can't extend the trip, but Lars can't leave. He has to stay in Bulgaria until his ear heals enough for the flight. So, they make the only decision they can. Lars will stay behind alone. His friends will go home as planned. It's only a few days. It shouldn't be a big deal. On July 7th, his friends fly back to Germany. They say goodbye at the hotel, and Lars moves to a different place called Hotel Color, a cheaper spot near Varna airport. Makes sense, since he'll be flying out soon anyway. When his friends leave, Lars seems okay. A little uncomfortable from the injury maybe, but nothing alarming. They're not worried. They'll see him in a few days. But what happened next wouldn't make sense to any of them. Not at first. Almost immediately after his friends leave, Lars calls his mother back in Germany. She can tell something's off right away. He tells her he doesn't feel safe. The men from the fight. He says they're following him. They're after him. His mother tries to calm him down. Suggests he's probably just anxious about being alone in a foreign country with an injury. But Lars won't let it go. He sounds frightened. Really frightened. He tells her he's hiding, that someone is after him, that people are trying to kill him. She starts to worry. But what can she do? She's hundreds of miles away. She tells him to stay inside. Be careful. Call her again soon. The staff at Hotel Color notice him too. He's not sleeping in his room. They see him pacing the corridors, staring out windows, hiding in the elevator. The building is quiet at night. But Lars is moving through it like he's being hunted. When they try to talk to him, it's clear he thinks he's being followed. Someone's after him. He's scared to stay in his room. The staff look around. They don't see anyone following him, no sign of any threat. But Lars won't be convinced. It gets worse over the next day or so. He's constantly looking over his shoulder, acting like every footstep in the hallway might be meant for him. He tells people he wants to go home immediately, but his ear still isn't healed enough. He needs to wait just a little longer. Then July 8th arrives, and what happens that day gets captured on camera. Footage that's been seen by millions of people now. Footage nobody who watches it can really shake off. This is the day Lars is finally cleared to fly. His eardrum has healed enough. He has a ticket for a flight back to Germany. He heads to Varna airport that morning. On paper, everything should be moving forward. But the airport staff will later say he looked pale, sweating, visibly anxious. He's only carrying a small bag. His luggage had already gone back to Germany with his friends. That's when a doctor at the airport notices him. Something about Lars's appearance raises concern, so the doctor takes him to a small medical office to check if he's fit to fly. Later, the doctor would describe Lars as extremely nervous, erratic, clearly in distress. Lars had been prescribed antibiotics for his ear, but he hadn't been taking them. The doctor tries to figure out what's going on with this young man who seems so terrified. What happens next? There are no cameras in that office, so we don't see it directly. But from what the doctor said afterward, Lars is sitting there, being examined when someone else comes into the room. Maybe another patient, maybe an airport employee. It's not entirely clear. But the door opens, and Lars suddenly bolts. The security footage picks him up outside the office. Lars explodes out of that door and just starts running. Not jogging, not moving quickly, full sprint. People in the terminal turn and stare as he tears past them. He's running like his life depends on it. But nobody's chasing him. The doctor doesn't come after him. No security guards are pursuing him. Lars is alone, and he's running. He hits an emergency exit and slams through it. The alarm shrieks behind him, but he doesn't look back. The door opens to the outside, and Lars keeps going. The camera angle from outside catches him for just a few more seconds. He's running across the tarmac, toward a field beyond the airport grounds. Then he runs past the edge of the frame, disappearing into the tree line. Nobody's seen Lars Mittank since that moment. In the medical office, they found what he left behind. His phone was still there. His passport too. Everything he needed to get home, abandoned in his panic. Search teams went out immediately. They covered the area around the airport, the forests nearby, roads leading away from Varna. Police brought dogs. Helicopters went up. Investigators talked to everyone who'd been in contact with Lars those last few days. The hotel staff, the airport doctor, his friends back in Germany. Everyone had the same story to tell. Lars had become terrified of something in those final days, but nobody could identify what that something was. So people tried to make sense of it. Theories emerged, falling into a few categories. Some thought this was an external threat, that the men from the fight had tracked Lars down, drugged him, made him paranoid, that he was right to be afraid. But investigators never found evidence of this. They questioned people from that restaurant. Nobody seemed to be after Lars. Others thought it was internal. A head injury causing psychological symptoms, or a sudden break from reality triggered by trauma and isolation. His brain creating threats that weren't there. And then there's the third possibility, the one nobody wants to think about but can't ignore. That something else entirely happened after Lars left the airport. That he ran into the wrong person in the wrong place. That whatever he found in those woods made his fear real. His mother spoke to the media in the months after, begging for information. She said Lars was sensible, not someone who got paranoid. The phone calls from Bulgaria didn't sound like her son. Something fundamental had changed in him during those days alone. She wasn't asking what happened in the woods. She was asking what happened to her son. But the answers never came. Years passed. Leads ran dry. There were reported sightings here and there. People saying they'd seen someone who looked like Lars in different parts of Bulgaria, other countries. None of them went anywhere. None were confirmed. After Lars ran into those trees near Varna airport on July 8th, 2014, he just vanished. The security footage became infamous online. People watched it over and over, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Why would someone sprint through an airport like that? What was he running from? Frame by frame, people analysed his expression, his body language, looking for clues. The footage doesn't give answers though. Just shows a terrified man running towards something we can't see. The investigation couldn't find evidence of pursuit, but it also couldn't explain why Lars believed so strongly that he was being hunted. That's why the psychological explanation keeps surfacing. Not because it's perfect, but because it comes closer than the alternatives. Head trauma combined with isolation in a foreign country triggering something in his mind. The brain's fragile. Injuries don't always show up clearly. And fear. Fear can twist everything. It creates a loop where anxiety makes you see danger, which creates more anxiety until you're not sure what's real anymore. Maybe Lars was caught in that. His fear was genuine, but the threat wasn't. If that's what happened, then he ran into those woods in complete psychological distress, thinking he was escaping when really he was just running. But even that theory has problems. People having psychotic breaks usually can't check into airports, handle transactions, navigate complex spaces. Lars did all of that in the hours before he ran. He could talk to staff, go through check-in, manage basic interactions. Whatever was happening in his mind, he wasn't completely detached. He was afraid of something specific. He'd convinced himself there was a threat, which brings us back to the most basic question. Where did he go? Bulgaria has vast rural areas, forests, mountains. If Lars ran into that wilderness in a panic, confused and scared, he could have gotten lost, could have had an accident. He was wearing light clothing, had almost nothing with him. No phone, no money. Even someone young and athletic would struggle to survive in those conditions. Search teams didn't find any trace of him, but that doesn't mean there's nothing out there. Just means they haven't found it. There's also the darker possibility that investigators can't ignore. That Lars ran into someone after he left the airport. Wrong person, wrong place, wrong time. That the thing he feared actually found him. Or that something else entirely happened in those woods. It's the possibility that turns this from a mental health tragedy into something more sinister. Without evidence, though, without a body, without witnesses, it all stays locked in speculation. And that's what makes this case so haunting. One day you're on a beach with your friends. A week later, you're gone. And all that's left are questions and a few seconds of security footage from your last known moments. The distance between those 2 points isn't just measured in days. It's the complete collapse of everything normal. His family still looks for answers. The case is still open. Every so often a new tip comes in. Someone claims they have information. Nothing's brought Lars home. Nothing's explained what happened in those final days. what he saw or thought he saw, what made him run. The footage just keeps playing. Lars running through the airport, through that door, across the concrete, into the distance. People watch it over and over, looking for meaning in his movements, in his face. But the footage doesn't care. It just shows what happened. A man running and then disappearing. The hardest part is the not knowing. You can learn every detail of the case and still understand nothing. Someone can just disappear in the modern world, vanish from cameras and phones and all the digital tracking we're buried in, leaving only fragments of their last hours. Lars's final moments are preserved in pixels and security logs, but the man himself is gone. The person who made those decisions that day, who felt fear so intense he abandoned everything. He's somewhere, or he was somewhere. We just don't know where. What goes through your mind when you're that scared? When you're certain that staying still means death? That running is the only option? Did Lars feel relief when he reached those trees? Or did the fear stay with him? Did he keep running deeper into unfamiliar terrain until he couldn't run anymore? Or did something stop him first? Those questions exist in the same place Lars does now. Somewhere we can't reach. We might never know what happened. The investigation has gone as far as it can without new evidence. The trail went cold years ago. Lars is frozen in that moment now, forever running through Varna airport, forever disappearing into the Bulgarian landscape, forever 28 years old and terrified of something invisible. People disappear under inexplicable circumstances every year. But something about Lars's case sticks with people. Maybe it's the footage, seeing his fear right there on camera. Maybe it's the question of what could make someone throw away their one shot at getting home. Maybe it's just how strange the whole thing is. A normal vacation that ended in total disappearance. Whatever the reason, people can't let this story go. It moves through forums and videos and articles, pulling in new people each time, making them watch that footage, see him run, and wonder what they would have done. Would they have trusted the airport? Would they have gotten on that plane? Or would they have run too? The answer to what happened is out there somewhere. Somewhere in Bulgaria, in records that haven't been found, in the memory of someone who saw something they never reported. The answer exists. It's just hidden, like Lars himself. And all we're left with is that camera. The last thing it captured was him getting smaller in the frame, moving farther away. 10 years later, that camera is still the only witness. And in those frames, Lars is still running.